Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life when we face individuals who challenge not just our patience but our very sense of self. People who weave illusions, who thrive on control, and who seek to shape reality to fit their desires. And when you finally step away, when you reclaim your strength and refuse to play their game, something fascinating happens. They don't just disappear, they watch, they calculate, and then they react. First, they might reach out as if nothing happened. A message, a kind gesture, a reminder of the good times. It's not about reconciliation, it's about control. They are testing the waters, seeing if there's still a way back in. When that fails, the mask begins to slip, the charm fades, replaced by frustration. Suddenly you become the villain in their story. They twist the truth, painting themselves as the victim of your so-called betrayal. This is not guilt, it's strategy. If they can't have you, they will try to control how others see you. And yet, the most telling sign of all is their silence. When they realize their usual tactics no longer work, they pull away. But make no mistake, they are still watching. They want to see if you'll stumble, if you'll reach out, if you'll prove them right by doubting yourself. But you won't, because you have already won, not by fighting, not by engaging, but by walking away and refusing to return. The greatest revenge is not anger, but indifference. The greatest victory is not proving them wrong, but proving yourself right. By living well, by finding peace, by moving forward. And so, if you ever find yourself wondering what happens after you break free from someone like this, watch closely. Their actions will tell you everything, but more importantly, your silence will tell them even more. The calm after the storm. Breaking free from a manipulative person is never just an event. It's a process. At first, you may expect immediate relief, a sense of closure, a final chapter in a difficult story. But what truly happens is far more complex. These individuals don't simply walk away. Instead, they linger in the shadows, watching, waiting, and calculating their next move. One of the most important things to understand is that their reaction is not always immediate. In fact, the initial response might be complete silence. And for a moment, that silence can be deceiving. It might make you think, maybe they've finally let go. Maybe they've realized it's over. But what's really happening beneath the surface is something much more deliberate. A narcissist, especially one who has built their identity around control, does not simply surrender. They operate with a mindset that sees relationships as power dynamics rather than genuine emotional bonds. So when you remove yourself from their influence, they don't react like a normal person would, with reflection or acceptance. Instead, they begin to strategize. At first, they might test the waters subtly. A seemingly innocent text message, a casual inquiry through mutual friends, or even a social media post designed to trigger your emotions. It's a baited hook, meant to see if they still have an open door into your life. And if you respond, if you so much as acknowledge their attempt, they see it as an invitation, a weakness they can exploit. But what happens when you don't respond? What happens when they realize their old tactics are no longer working? That's when their frustration begins to build. The silence they once controlled is now turned against them, and they begin to feel the power shift. And that's when their behavior starts to change. Some will double down on kindness, offering apologies and false remorse, promising they've changed, hoping to lure you back into the cycle. Others will turn to passive aggression, spreading subtle rumors or playing the victim in an attempt to manipulate how others see you. And if all else fails, they may resort to complete emotional withdrawal, disappearing, but always keeping one eye on you, waiting for a moment of weakness. This phase, the calm after the storm, is where your strength is truly tested. Because when you don't react, when you don't engage, when you don't give them what they crave, something powerful happens. They lose. Not in a dramatic confrontation, not in a heated argument, but in the quiet realization that they no longer hold a place in your life. And that, more than anything, is what they fear the most. Not anger, not revenge, but indifference. True victory is not in fighting them. It's in showing them that you no longer care, that their chapter in your life is closed, and that your story continues, stronger than ever, without them. The mask will fall. When you've finally broken free from a manipulative person, you might expect them to move on, to let go, or to acknowledge the end of the relationship with some level of dignity. But that is rarely the case. What happens instead is something far more revealing. The carefully constructed mask they've worn for so long begins to slip. These individuals, particularly those who thrive on control, don't just manipulate others, they craft an entire persona to maintain their image. To the outside world, they may appear charming, kind, even selfless. They've spent years curating this illusion, ensuring that those around them see only what they want them to see. But this mask is not who they truly are. It is a tool, a performance designed to keep them in power. The moment they realize they've lost control over you, the first crack in that mask begins to show. At first, it may be subtle. Small inconsistencies in their behavior, a slight shift in their tone, an uncharacteristic outburst. You may notice them trying harder than ever to prove they're fine without you, going out of their way to display happiness, success, or even kindness, though none of it is genuine. But as time passes and they see that their usual tactics are no longer working, those cracks widen. The person who once seemed composed and in control begins to act out. Maybe they start talking negatively about you to others, portraying themselves as the victim. Maybe they try to provoke a reaction from you, using guilt, anger, or nostalgia to lure you back into the cycle. And then, inevitably, the mask completely falls. This is when they begin to reveal their true selves. Not the carefully polished version they show the world, but the one driven by insecurity, fear, and a deep need for control. They may lash out, becoming aggressive or desperate. They might try to rewrite history, twisting past events to paint themselves in a better light, while making you seem like the villain. If they can't control you, they will attempt to control how others perceive you. But this moment, this unmasking, isn't something to fear. In fact, it is a confirmation of everything you suspected but may have doubted. Because now you can see the truth, not just about them, but about yourself. You see that their strength was always an illusion. You see that their control was never real. It was borrowed from your willingness to engage. And most importantly, you see that their greatest fear is not losing you, but being exposed for who they truly are. And so, when their mask falls, do not pick it up. Do not try to fix it. Do not try to explain or justify what you are seeing. Simply recognize it for what it is, a final, desperate attempt to hold on to a power they no longer have. And then walk away, knowing that you have won not by defeating them, but by refusing to play their game. The last attempt at power. When a manipulative person realizes they've lost control over you, they don't simply walk away. They make one final attempt to pull you back in. One last power move designed to test whether you are truly free. This moment is critical because it will reveal everything about their nature and, more importantly, everything about your own strength. At first, they might choose charm. They'll suddenly become the person you once thought they were, the one who made you feel seen, valued, and understood. They may offer apologies, claiming to have reflected on their past mistakes. They may say they miss you, that things can be different, that they're willing to change. It's not because they've truly transformed, it's because they see you slipping away, and their survival depends on re-establishing their control. If charm fails, they'll switch tactics. They may try to manipulate your emotions through guilt, reminding you of the times they helped you, the sacrifices they made, or the love they once professed. If that doesn't work, they might turn to intimidation, subtle jabs, veiled threats, or reminders of what you've lost by walking away. Their words may shift from soft and sentimental to sharp and punishing. This is not about love or closure, it's about power. One of the most important things to remember is that they are testing you. Every move they make at this stage is designed to see if you will react. Because the moment you engage, whether in anger, sadness, or even an attempt to defend yourself, you are feeding their need for control. To them, even a negative reaction is a victory because it means they still have influence over your emotions. But here's the truth. Their power is an illusion. They are not strong without your attention. Their control only works if you participate in their game. And the greatest weapon you have is silence. By refusing to respond, by not just walking away but staying away, you dismantle everything they are trying to rebuild. They may push harder, they may lash out, but eventually they will realize that their last attempt has failed. That's when they will either disappear completely or seek a new source of control elsewhere. Also, and in that moment, you will see what true power looks like. Not in their manipulation, but in your refusal to be manipulated. Not in their attempts to pull you back, but in your unwavering commitment to move forward. This is where you win, not through confrontation, not through proving them wrong, but through proving yourself right. By choosing peace over chaos, self-respect over validation, and freedom over control. Their last attempt at power is nothing more than a final, desperate illusion. But your power, that is real. And it is something they will never be able to take away from you again. Your strength is their defeat. The greatest mistake you can make after escaping a manipulative person is believing that you still owe them something, an explanation, a response, a reaction. In reality, the moment you stop engaging, you take away the one thing they truly thrive on: control. And nothing unsettles them more than realizing they no longer have power over you. Understand this: people like this do not fear anger. They do not fear confrontation. In fact, they often welcome it because it gives them an opportunity to twist the narrative, to turn a disagreement into proof that you are the unstable one, the unreasonable one. They know how to provoke, how to bait you into defending yourself, and how to manipulate others into seeing them as the victim. What they truly fear is indifference. When you stop responding, when you stop justifying yourself, when you refuse to play their game, they begin to feel something they are not used to: powerlessness. For so long, they controlled the dynamics of your relationship, dictating how you felt, how you reacted, how you saw yourself. But now, the script has flipped, and the silence you give them is louder than any argument ever could be. At first, they may refuse to accept it. They may test you, trying to provoke a response through kindness, guilt, or even cruelty. They may attempt to reach you through others, hoping that mutual friends or family members will pass along their messages. They may even try to make you jealous, flaunting their happiness as if to say, "Look what you're missing." But none of these actions are signs of strength. They are signs of desperation. A person who is truly at peace does not need to prove anything. A person who is truly strong does not need to play games. So what should you do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Your silence is the answer. Your absence is the lesson. Your refusal to engage is the victory. And over time you will notice something incredible happening, not just in them but in yourself. As they fade into the background, as their attempts become weaker and less frequent, you will feel lighter, stronger. You will realize that their power over you was never real. It was only ever an illusion, kept alive by your willingness to entertain it. One day, you will look back and wonder why you ever let them affect you so deeply. You will see them for what they are, just another person, no longer larger than life, no longer a force that dictates your emotions. And in that moment, you will understand that the greatest defeat you could ever give them was never revenge. It was never proving them wrong. It was proving yourself right. Your strength is their defeat. And the moment you recognize that, you are free. A life beyond them. The ultimate victory over a manipulative person is not anger, not revenge, and not even exposing them. It's moving on, truly moving on. Living a life that is peaceful, fulfilling, and completely detached from their influence. Because the truth is, they don't just want control over your past. They want to linger in your present and cast a shadow over your future. And the only way to defeat them is to show them that they no longer exist in your world. At first, this can feel impossible. After all, when someone has spent so much time trying to manipulate you, it can feel like they are everywhere, even when they are gone. Their words echo in your mind. Their actions have left wounds. Their presence, even in absence, can make you question yourself. But this is where your true healing begins. Because the moment you decide to live beyond them, you take the final step in reclaiming your life. It starts with small things. Choosing joy even when they expected you to remain bitter. Finding new experiences that have nothing to do with them. Rediscovering parts of yourself that may have been buried under their influence. You begin to replace their voice in your head with your own. You stop replaying old conversations. Stop justifying why you left. Stop feeling the need to explain your decisions to anyone. You simply live. And that, more than anything, is what they cannot stand. Because to them, the worst thing you can do is forget them. They want to believe that they left a permanent mark, that you will always carry their influence, that no matter how far you go, a piece of you will still belong to them. And that is why the most powerful thing you can do is build a life where they are not even a thought. This is not about pretending they never existed. It's about putting them in the past, where they belong. It's about understanding that their role in your story was just a chapter, not the whole book. And as you turn the page, you realize that the rest of the story is yours to write. A life beyond them means choosing peace over drama. It means refusing to look back. It means no longer checking to see if they're watching, no longer wondering what they're thinking, no longer giving them any space in your mind. It means creating a future that is so fulfilling, so beautiful, that their absence becomes irrelevant. And one day, without even realizing it, you will wake up and see that they are no longer a factor in your life, that the grip they once had is gone, that you are free. And in that moment, you will know This is what winning truly looks like.